For those who have chosen not to support me in the past, of which there were a few people, I'm reaching out to you for your guidance and your help so that we can work together and unify our great country.
Donald Trump is going to be our president. We owe him an open mind and the chance to lead. I know we have still not shattered that highest and hardest glass ceiling, but someday someone will, and hopefully sooner than we might think right now.
Everybody is sad when their side loses an election. But the day after, we have to remember that we're actually all on one team. This is an intramural scrimmage. We're not Democrats first, we're not Republicans first. We are Americans first.
Three very important speeches, and joining us now are executive coach Roshini Rajkumar and Hamline University assistant professor of English and digital media, Aaron McCain, to talk a little bit about those three speeches and how they went, and did we get what we needed from these leaders. So, Roshini, let's start with you. You have these three things that you're looking for in a speech.
Yes.
What did you see from each of these people
All right,
today?
so if we can start with the victory speech and Donald Trump, I'll actually give him really a thumbs up on this. We're always looking for you to start by congratulating your opponent and thanking them, giving them some affirmation for the journey that they helped you actually be on. So you're on this together. And he did do that. If you remember, he congratulated her for a hard-fought fight through this campaign. It was a battle, actually. Then you want to show gratitude to your supporters, your family, whoever that is, your volunteers, and then authentically share what this win means to you. So he did get all of those three things down. And, Hillary also did a good job with her concession speech.
What did you take away from it?
Well, I mean, looking more, I suppose, at Hillary's speech or Secretary Clinton's speech, I think the thing that we have to see coming out of the Democrats is some sort of path moving forward. I mean, obviously they suffered what in their minds is a tremendous setback, and I think Secretary Clinton did an excellent job in reframing the conversation going forward in terms of free speech, saying that we have to be able to take account a number of religious and political views in this country somehow respectfully, which is something we have to work on. And she also, I think, surprised a lot of people by saying that we do owe it to President Trump or President-elect Trump to at least try to work with him. And
to have an open mind.
To have an open mind and to admit that he is a bit of an enigma. I mean, for all that we've seen about him over the last 18 months, we're still not 100% clear about policies, about perspectives. There seems to be shifts, and I think it's good for the country that she is at least attempting to have an open mind about this process.
And let's talk about that. It takes more than just these leaders coming out saying we have to work together. It takes the greater country saying the same
nation.
thing. Yes,
Yeah.
the entire
Absolutely.
nation. So do you think what they have said is going to be enough to get people to come together?
Well, maybe not enough, but it's a really great start. So what Secretary Clinton did by saying, and let's give us a chance, let's give President Trump a chance to lead. Okay, so that's a really good thing that she's putting out there. The other piece, she finalized her talk with sharing a vision for the future. And that's really key. And even though she's probably going to retire from any kind of elected office, so she's going into the next phase of her life, she still can continue to be a leader. So she really hit the 3 points that I would say are good for a positive and strong concession speech. So I gave her at least a 9 on that concession speech.
That's what resonated most with me with Secretary Clinton's speech, was seeing that end part. And I was reading today that she gave that speech today at the time she gave it because she specifically wanted young girls to be able to watch it and not give it at 2 o'clock in the morning. Yes, they could have watched it on their iPads, but to really speak to the next generation, to literally pass the baton and say, work with President-elect Trump, but keep working. Do not give up. Don't quit.
Well, and also to continually refine this idea of the American dream. So we had somebody like President Obama who I think embodied the American dream in such a distinctive way. And what I really appreciate about Secretary Clinton's speech is that she was basically saying, like, look, we understand that this is a diverse country. We understand that we have to expand our definition of what we think success looks like in this country and what succeeding people look like in this country. And I think that was a really powerful way of phrasing it, of just saying, like, the American dream, our metaphors for it, our acceptance of it has to be big enough to accommodate everyone, regardless of race, class, gender, ability, etc. And I think there are ways that that can coincide with Trump's speech, where he is talking about, look, we are capable of doing big, beautiful things. And I think weirdly, the two of them finally might be striking the same note. The question is whether the country can actually find a way to like play along with either.
Well,
of
and
them.
that's the question is how do we frame it as a community? And I think it's very important to remember that just because someone voted for Trump, which half the country did,
Right.
it's not a vote for hate, it was a vote for change, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I get it. Hate exists out there, but I'm choosing to believe the
Yeah,
positive.
I know you are,
I really
and I
am.
appreciate
I
that.
really am. I want to feel positive.
Well, let's even put it a different way. Like any plot point can always be whatever we want it to be. So the negative way to spin this Trump win is to say, like, look, at the end of the day, there was a revolt of the white populist masses, and they have rejected the progress that people have think this country has been making since the late 1960s. The other way to perhaps look at it, which might be an olive branch to the other side, is to say there are some ways that we are judging presidential candidates that we know do not work. This
Right.
obsession with authenticity, this obsession about saying the same thing to every particular audience, this obsession with sort of policing speech in ways that even if you're on the side of the people who are offended, sometimes you're like, well, you got to let the other side talk. And I think there are ways in which you can say the referendum that Trump presented the American public is, how do you want your public officials to be moving forward? Do we want them all to be reality stars? Maybe not, but that old model doesn't really work in the social
Well,
media
and
age.
speaking of that, he used his forte. So he said, I have the presidency to win, and he used his talents as a communicator to win the office. Now we need to see his talents as a leader, as a CEO. That's what we should all be watching for as members of the media, as the public, as well as other leaders he has to work with.
Awesome. Thank you
Thanks, both
guys.
of you.
Both, yeah.
Pretty good speeches, and onward. We'll be right back.